Servants attend me while I wash and dress. Pareja is sullen as usual, although I have permitted him to paint, in contravention to the codes. And why not? This is Rome, where everything is permitted, especially that which is prohibited. I eat something, I forget what, in a large room overlooking the famous gardens. This is the Villa Medici. The Duke allows me to stay here, as he did during my first visit, although as an honorary ambassador to His Holiness I should be lodged at the Vatican. I cannot bear to stay there, however. The food does not suit me, far too rich, and the meals formal and at set times. Here I can eat what I want, when I want, and I can work. After my meal I go down to the Trinità to hear Mass, then return to my studio and work on a view I have made of a gate to the gardens. It's a small thing, but it gives me a particular pleasure, as it has no connection with a patron, but is for myself alone, a landscape in the French manner, or the Dutch. I've never done such a thing before, and it makes a kind of cleansing after the Pope's portrait. At noon I eat again, this time at a table with some of the other guests, all people of rank, and none of them think it disgraceful to dine with a painter. Now I command Juan Pareja to call for a carriage, and we leave the villa for our appointment at the house of my lord Don Gaspar de Haro, Marqués de Elche, a great man among the Spanish in Rome, who favors me above all the others of my profession. During the journey I am much engaged with my pocketbook, where I list all the worrying arrangements I must make to fulfill His Majesty's commission, gaining permission to make casts of famous sculptures, supervising the artisans making the casts, making sure they are properly crated, paying for the shipment, making sure the carters do not steal everything, viewing paintings for sale, making appointments for portraits of the notables who favor me and whose friendship is desired by His Majesty. Never enough time, and never enough money. The Titians alone cost over 1,000 ducats, and the major domo at the embassy says there is no money. There is no money in all of Spain, it seems, or so I am told, although it is the king's will that these treasures be bought. Every petty clerk defies me. As they say, too much meat on to roast, and some will be burnt. At the palazzo I am announced and led to a hall full of paintings. The paintings are very fine, but I have no chance to study them, for here is my lord of Elche and his train. They are merry, and an odor of wine and perfume floats above them. They are Romans in the main, and of a type that my lord's father, far less his uncle the Count Duke, would never have thought to entertain. I am introduced, I bow, they bow, the Marquess takes my arm, and we go off privily to tour his gallery. We talk of paintings. He is passing knowledgeable, for one so young, and avid for more treasures. He condemns me for driving up the market by my visit and my gold from Madrid, although there is hardly any. We stop before a Venus with a mirror, a copy after the Titian that hangs in the Alcazar. He says, "I want one like that." "A copy, my lord?" "No, a painting, a new painting. But we will speak of this further. First, I wish to show you a prodigy. You will hardly believe this, Don Diego. There is nothing like it in Spain." We move up a stair and down a hallway. There is a room from which issues a familiar odor. He signs to the footman to open the door without sound, and we stand in the doorway. Inside there is an easel and a man in a long smock and turban painting at it, and a model, a woman, sits holding a swaddled plaster baby. The man is painting rapidly, placing a blue glaze, a Venetian, I think, or one trained in their style. My lord speaks low. "What do you think, Don Diego?" I answer, "It is well enough done. The forms have some strength at least, the colors are clear and harmonious. A young man, I think, with little experience. The composition is not all it could be." In the same low voice he says, slyly now, "You are entirely mistaken in this, I fear." I say, "Then I bow to your superior knowledge of the painter's art, my lord." "No, that's not what I meant," he says. "I meant it is not a young man. It is not a man at all." With that he cries out, "Leonora!" And the painter turns around, and I see it is a young woman. She stands frozen a moment, startled, brush in hand. The Marquess strides into the room and embraces the woman in a most lascivious way, although he is married, and recently too, to a girl reputed to be the beauty of Italy and rich, Still holding her to his body, he calls to me. Is this not a prodigy, Don Diego? A woman who paints. Can you imagine what they would say in Spain? My treasure, this is Don Diego de Velázquez, the king's painter, come to Rome to buy every painting that can be bought and impoverish all us poor collectors. Don Diego, it is said that you allow your slave to paint, but I think I have bested you in this one. I have the honor to present to you Leonora di Cortona di Fortunati. The woman smiles indulgently. The Marquess bends to kiss her neck, and his hand slips between the buttons of her smock. The model looks away and blushes. I am thunderstruck myself. The woman pushes him away. He resists, laughing. She taps him on the nose with her brush tip, and his nose becomes bright lapis blue. He touches his nose, goggles at his hand. A look of anger starts on his face, but he turns it into a toothed grin like a carter's, and lets free a bellow of laughter. "Clean me," he orders, and she does, with a rag dipped in turpentine. "Ha!" he cries. "I will stink like a damn painter all day. Look here, Don Diego. This is what I want you to paint." He pointed at the woman. "A Madonna and Child, my lord?" "No, of course not, God blast you. What would I do with yet another Madonna and Child? No, her, Leonora. I want you to paint her as Venus with her mirror." I look at the woman with the paint rag still in her hand, and she looks back at me. Her eyes are sea gray. The wisp of hair that has escaped from her turban is auburn. She has a blunt, oval face with a high forehead, snub nose, and strong chin, the face of a sharp market woman, not a beauty. But there is the disturbing way she's staring into my eyes, slightly mocking, but also with a deeper complicity, as if we alone in that room understood some important secret. I have never been looked at like that by a woman, not my wife, not the women of the court. It unnerves me, and even makes my voice shake a little when I say, "A Venus, my lord, do you mean unclothed?" "Of course unclothed, nude, naked, whatever you call it. There's a woman under that tent, you'll see. And my man, you'll make haste, will you? I have other things I want you to do as well." With that he claps me on the shoulder and departs the room. As soon as the door closes, she dismisses the model, who takes her plaster baby and rushes out, and then my lady removes her smock right before me, not bothering to retire. Beneath is a dress of fine russet silk with a falling collar, good lace, a stomacher strung with gold cords, lace at the sleeves, but not much, and not cut as low at the bosom as some Roman ladies wear. They do not wear the guardinfante in Rome, preferring to round out their hips with petticoats, a remarkably thin waist. Off comes the turban, and she shakes her ringlets out. They have red lights in them, some bracelets of amber, some of gilt, no jewels that I can see, and I think of what the Marquess said of her body. I have never heard a woman spoken to so, except a whore, and this is no whore. These Romans are blind to honor. In the city I have heard men use words and make gestures to one another that would have earned a fight in Seville, perhaps a coffin too. She moves to her painting and speaks. "Alas, you are entirely correct about my work, Don Diego. I can draw well enough, I can mix colors, and my perspective is true, but I cannot find the balance of the forms, or not very well. It is something that must be taught, I think, and no one will teach me." "No one taught me," I say. "When I was your age, I knew as little as you. Don Pedro Rubens advised me to go to Italy and look at paintings, and I did, and so learned the art of composition and how to make solid forms appear on a flat plane." "Yes," she says with a laugh, "but unfortunately I am in Italy already, and I am not Velázquez. So tell me, do you too think it scandalous that a woman paints?" "Not scandalous," I say. "Futile, maybe, as if you were learning to fight with a sword. I am surprised your husband permits it."